Hey nerds, Alex here from Nerds Being Geeks, and I just won my fairy badge with the BDIF Turbo Fairy. Let's get into it. Alright, take a screenshot of the best deck in the format. 3-0 with Turbo Fairy. I know it can be kind of hard to see all the cards laid out like this, so I'm going to scoop them up and lay them down one at a time, and I'll show you how this deck went 3-0 at my locals. Alright, let's start with the Pokemon. Mimikyu, MVP. Never used Filch, but Copycat won me the game. If your opponent's Pokemon used an attack that isn't a GX attack during the last turn, use it as this attack. I really only used it in my final match. I did face a Psychic deck, a Fire deck, and then someone borrowed my Dragon deck that I had just recently won a badge with, and they were my third match. And that was definitely by far the hardest match for this fairy deck. But Copycat was just copying all of the dragon's attacks, and it's a lot easier to recur this one basic Mimikyu instead of resetting a stage 2 attacker like the Garchomp or the Dragonite or the Haxorus that I play in that deck. If you want to see what that deck is like, I'll put a link to my dragon winning deck. That deck also went 3-0. But yes, I was copycatting all of those dragon attacks, and I was able to recur Mimikyu like 2 or 3 times that match, but they weren't able to recur the stage 2s. Xerneas, Bright Horns, basically you're guaranteed a big attacker of 130 damage. The problem is you can't use this attack during your next turn, but there are ways to get around that. Tapu Fini or Fini, Dream Away. I definitely used this attack, Dream Away. Flip a coin if heads, your opponent shuffles their active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into their deck. I did that too. I'm pretty sure the Psychic player and maybe the Fire player, and they had nothing after that. Like, their straight attacker in the active was just shuffled back in. It was nuts. Cottony, Whimsicott with the Prowl ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search your deck for a card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So yeah, you just lay this down, scoop up net, and start doing it all over again. Flabebe, I never used that evolutionary advantage, but it doesn't hurt to have. Floette, I know it's kind of hard to see with the reverse holo. Flower Picking, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, choose a random card from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shovels it back into their deck. Definitely did some disrupting with this card. It might have actually helped me gain the lead and win the game. We got Florges, and this is just an incredible ability to have. Calming Aurora. Each of your Pokemon's attacks cost 1 less fairy energy. I never attacked with Florges. A great support Pokemon on the bench. Definitely was used, especially when recurring Pokemon from the discard pile to get them back into the active, like the Mimikyu, so you can do Copycat for just 1 energy attachment. I know this is not the optimal Clefairy, 40 HP, but it has some of that original art. It's a beautiful card, and it has Metronome. If you're able to get 3 energy on there, 2 if you have the Florges in play, but the Metronome, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So it's kind of like the Copycat. You're able to just steal your opponent's attack. So you just imagine having a special energy attached to this and attacking a special Wailord and knocking it out. It's things like that. It's the same with like, if I was able to use this in the dragon matchup, I would have, and I would have taken a knockout with a 40 HP Pokemon. Clefable, never even got to use, but you know, if you accelerate all your energy, you can do a good sized amount of damage. Morlul, never attacked with it, but it leads to this Shiinotic, which has an amazing ability. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may search your deck for a fairy Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. Another absolutely MVP card. You know, you just get the Mimikyu knocked out, you know, get it back into the deck somehow, search it back out with this Illuminate ability. It is just an incredible ability that can get you set up. And then Togepi, Togetic, and what this deck is known for, the Togekiss with that ancient trait ability. You might play this card from your hand to evolve a Pokemon during your first turn or on the turn you play that Pokemon. And you use the ability as well. You play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon. You may look at the top 8 cards of your deck, choose any basic energy cards you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Great way to accelerate. I only pulled maybe 1 or 2 energies every time that I played this. I did not get a ton of energies accelerated from this card, but I can totally see how it would be useful. It just was not going for me. But, you know, 1 or 2 energies still helped. It still was great, but, you know, you're hoping for like 3 or 4 and just load up and just have a secondary attacker. And this card comes into play with another card that I'll talk about shortly. All right, so let's talk about item cards. Buddy Poffin, obviously, 270 HP basic Pokemon. Rare Candy to get that Togekiss going as soon as possible. Scoop Up Net to reset that Whimsicott to search your deck for any card. Evo Soda. Max Elixir, just another way to look at some cards and try and pull some extra energy from the top of your deck. Evolutionary Incense, Rescue Stretcher, Netball, Level Ball, Hisuian Heavy Ball, Timer Ball. Man, I rolled double tails on this. I do not play this in any other deck. Mostly because I found this in Discord like 6 months ago, this deck list. I built it and then never played it, and it had Timer Ball, and I was like, I don't know enough about Fairy to not have cards match this list. So Timer Ball, still a hater, terrible card. This would be the first card that gets cut. Quick Ball, Letter to get them Fairy energies, Town Map, Ordinary Rod, some more recovery, Versus Seeker just to get that supporter back from the discard. And here we go, De-Evolution Spray. Devolve one of the evolved Pokemon and put the highest stage evolution card on it into your hand. This Pokemon can't evolve this turn. However, that ancient trait ability bypasses this item card, so you can scoop up the Togekiss and then lay it right back down to look at another 7 cards from the top of your deck. Sorry, not 7, 8. 8 cards from the top of your deck. Just another way to recur Pokemon and energy from the discard pile and just search it out with Whimsicott or Shiinotic. Field Blower, just a staple. Escape Rope, and Pokegear. So this deck only plays 1 stadium. Each Pokemon that has any fairy energy attached to it, both yours and your opponent, has no retreat cost. Really good on getting that Xerneas out of the active since it can't use that Bright Horns attack a second time. But with colorless, like the turbo colorless builds, playing fire and fairy, just watch out when playing this because it might help your opponent as well. And play Lux Cape to make your very small guys somewhat bigger. Yeah, these guys are not very big, so I mean, it's fairy. If they knock you out with the Lux Cape, you're probably going to lose anyways. And Muscle Band to try and hit some of those higher number HP guys. All right, so let's do supporters. Diantha, you can play this card only if one of your fairy Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Put up to 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. I'm not even sure if I even had to use it, but that's a great card. Teammates, we all know what Teammates does. Once your opponent knocks out your active, you can search your deck for 2 cards. So this deck is playing a lot on its heels, expecting to get knocked out fairly quickly, so that's why you're playing these kind of reactive cards. And it's like basically a staple in every one of my decks. It's one of my favorite cards ever. Bridget, yeah, it might be replaced by something else. Raihan, just another reactive card for when you get knocked out. Get some energy back in play, search your deck for any card. Colress, definitely use this, and guess what? Shuffle, draw 10 cards. Yeah. Surprised Colress doesn't see more action. It is an amazing card. In the face of Gym Leader Challenge, Ball Guy. Yeah, just an amazing staple supporter. I put in almost every deck. It's incredible. Search your deck for 3 cards with Ball in their name. Yeah, just it's a great way to set up. Iono, definitely used it. We all know what it does. Marnie. And Guzma. All right, so let's talk energy. Counter, because you're most likely playing from behind. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fairy energy. Yes, I know having this one shiny one is driving me crazy too. I need to have them all the same. It's driving me crazy. One or the other. One or the other. All right, guys, that was my 3-0 BDIF fairy deck. No question about it. Top tier deck. 3-0. You should probably try it at your locals too. I had a lot of fun with this deck, surprisingly a lot of fun. If you're in a market where it is like full grip games and everyone is playing the most optimal cards, this deck is not going to do great. But if you're in a meta that is more casual like I am, this deck was perfect. It was so much fun. It's great to see like Fairy have that opportunity in my locals. This was the last type I needed to win with. So now I have one with every single type in the format. Wow. I was scared to play Fairy, but this thing was like running so smooth. I mean, it was silky smooth. Oh yeah, so I'm not sure what sleeves these are. I've had them sleeved for a while, but like pink diamond, I think. I'm not sure, but love it. I always color code my decks. And then I found this pink deck box. Perfectly goes with the fairy type. All right, that is my fairy build. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think. Do you play fairy at all? And if not, get on this bandwagon BDIF, I swear. All right, appreciate you guys watching.